Let's see what Critical Drinker has to say about this movie. Snow White, it's even worse than I expected. All right, here we go.
There are certain fundamental truths about this world which are so universal that anyone, no matter their race, colour or creed, can pretty much agree on them. 1. Never trust a post-Vindaloo fart. 2. Spreadable butter isn't. 3. Anytime a woman starts a sentence with, a real man would, you know.
There's a lot of these hoes online that say that kind of stuff, huh? Right? There's a lot of hoes online. It's like, a real man, wouldn't suck another guy's dick. I have to stop. Sorry. I have to stop.
You're about to hear some weapons-grade retardation. And to that not-so-illustrious list, we can add that the Snow White live-action remake was, without a doubt, one of the worst ideas in the whole history of entertainment. Possibly the most predictable of all failures, a project conceived for all the wrong reasons, starring all the wrong people, pushing all the wrong messages, and telling the entirely wrong story. After all the delays and the controversies and the speculation that have been swirling around it for what feels like decades now, it was actually kinda weird to finally sit down and just watch this thing. Like meeting a celebrity after following their career for years. Not a good kind of celebrity more like a Jimmy Savile kind of celebrity. The kind that you're discreetly warned never to get into a lockable room alone with. But here it is, nonetheless. And now that I've finally suffered through nearly 2 hours of Snow White, I can confidently tell you that, yes, this film absolutely lived up to all my worst expectations, and in some cases even exceeded them. A bloated, overstuffed turkey of a production, weighed down by hammy acting, cheap costumes, horrendous CGI, and vomit-inducing cinematography that bungles most of the elements it steals from the original animated movie, abandons its classic ideals of self-sacrifice, heroism, and true love, and injects the lethal dose of the message.
Okay, I remember watching this movie, and throughout the movie, I'm like, the set designs and the CGs, let's not just talk about the CGI. Let's just talk about the set. The set, I remember watching Gal Gadot walk down the steps where she started singing. I'm like, this looks sort of bad. It looks like something that the CW would do. No. You know what? That's offensive to CW. This looks like something like a high school musical would do. It's literally it's a high school Broadway show, some kind of fan fiction. Kids went to Dollar Tree to grab their outfits, or they went to, they probably went to 99-cent store during, after Halloween and grabbed the outfits from there, and then they went to Home Depot because they couldn't, spend enough money to actually buy shit that actually works. So they actually just buy a bunch of these cardboard cutouts and put the backgrounds together. It's that bad. It doesn't look good. It does not look high budget. But for some reason, this movie costed a lot of money. It was a shit ton of money, probably because of the reshoots. It's so bad. It's awful. Just watch the original Snow White. Don't watch this. You can tell Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot despised each other. The looks that Rachel Zegler gives Gal, you can tell they hate each other in real life, which is wild.
Which is so redundant and thematically contradictory that it just gets abandoned by the ends. It's also laughably obvious where they've had to reshoot and rewrite big chunks of this movie in response to all the backlash. Entire subplots, characters, and setups are introduced and then abandoned without explanation, and the ending is so wildly anticlimactic and jarring that it makes World War Z look like a model of cinematic efficiency.
Let's play this.
Anyway, let's get the plot summary over with so we can put this turd behind us. The basics.
Okay, so how Snow White gets the village people and the townsmen to sort of come together and unite to fight against the queen was, hey, remember your dad used to do this? Hey, remember your name? Hey, remember that you used to do this? Do you remember what long time ago when you did this for me? Oh, do you remember your name? And all of them was like, oh, I remember. Oh, I definitely remember. Oh, I remember. And all of a sudden, everyone's like, all right, we hate the queen now. Fucking stupid writing. It feels like they need to be replaced by Chat GPT. You know what? Chat GPT won't be, it's not bad enough. We need Grok to replace them. And you know these people hate Elon Musk. So Grok would be the perfect AI to replace the shitty ass writers. You can go to Grok, type out, write me a very good, brief, concise story of Snow White and give it to me in sections. And it will write that entire thing for you. And it can spit out just a sentence and it will be leaps and bounds better than what we've got, which is a total dumpster fire.
Setup for Snow White is broadly similar to the original film. Snow White herself is born to the benevolent king and queen of a generic medieval fantasy land that tactfully goes unnamed. Although fuck me, they must have pretty good transportation links with the rest of the world because the population here is more ethnically diverse than central London. Anyway,
100%.
Snow White's mom dies and her dad remarries Gal Gadot, who manipulates him into going off to war, where he promptly disappears and is never seen again. Oh no, guess she's gonna have to take control of everything. What a bind. Fast forward a few years and the kingdom's become a kind of dystopian nightmare where everyone's poor and hopeless and ruled over by an iron-fisted tyrant. It's a bit like modern day Britain, only with better sanitation and dental care. Anyway, after a confrontation with Snow White over a bandit named Jonathan who tried to steal some food from the castle, the evil queen decides the best thing to do is send her out into the forest where the huntsman can conveniently murder her. It's a bit extreme, but I'll let it slide. Naturally, the huntsman has second thoughts and decides to let her go, and after wandering alone for a while, she runs into 7 dwarves that I can only describe as the kind of thing that Cthulhu probably has nightmares about. I'm not kidding, man. The brief glimpses that you got of these things in the trailers are absolutely nothing compared to the existential horror of actually witnessing them on the big screen. These are nightmares made real. Like if you woke up in the middle of the night and saw Mr. Blobby standing at the foot of your bed.
What is that? Mr. Blobby? Almost as scary as the dwarf. Almost.
Silent, motionless, watching you with those blank, lifeless eyes that bore into your very soul. So after crashing at their house for a while, eating their food and helping herself to all of their resources, Snow White helpfully forces them to clean up their own home while she prances around like she's on some mad acid trip. Which she probably is, to be fair. I would be if I was in this fucking movie. Then for some reason she gets it into her head that her dad must still be alive, and the only way to find him is to seek out the bandits that lurk in the forests.
Right.
So naturally, she runs into Jonathan about 5 minutes after leaving the house so that the rest of the plot can happen, and he protects her from the evil queen's soldiers by taking an arrow that was meant for her, so she brings him back to the dwarves to get fixed up. Oh yeah, you know those retarded looking Starbucks baristas?
Retarded Starbucks barista. So, these are the bandits. And basically, these bandits are basically the rebellion against the tyrant evil queen. Remember, Snow White is a fascist movie. Basically saying that Gal Gadot is a fascist and how we need communism. Well, actually, it's just socialism. They want socialism, which eventually will lead to communism. Everything's free. Everything is good. Share your food with everyone. I don't even know what the hell that song was in the beginning of the movie now. All I remember, it was fucking awful. Freaking awful.
From those early set pictures that everyone thought were the dwarves? Well, those are the bandits, who are actually out of work actors forced to become thieves because the evil queen's taxation policies shut down their entire industry. Is that a reference to something?
Yep.
Is that a reference to something?
Is that a reference to something?
I sort of thought about it just a little bit. It's like, I wonder if the evil queen is a stand-in or some kind of like, it represents Donald Trump. Sort of, just a little bit.
No idea. Anyway, Jonathan decides to lure the Queen's soldiers away to give Snow White time to escape, and then immediately gets captured because he's a bumbling idiot. And the evil Queen decides that she's had enough of this shit.
That's a double-ended dildo, by the way.
So she turns herself into an old hag and manipulates Snow White into eating a poisoned apple that makes her go a bit dead. But that's okay because Jonathan escapes prison so that the rest of the plot can happen and gives her the world's least passionate kiss, which brings her back to life so that she can begin her cunning plan to overthrow the Queen and take back her kingdom. Do you want to know what that plan is? Are you ready for the fourth dimensional quantum mega chest that she plays here that would probably give Christopher Nolan a brain hemorrhage? Well, she walks into town and then convinces the soldiers to turn against the evil queen because she can remember their names.
Remember, chat. These people who wrote this pile of shit has the same right as you and I. They can vote. They can drive a car. They can buy a gun. These are the same people that also want to harbor a crap ton of illegal immigrants here in the United States. These people. They need to be replaced by AI immediately.
Really?
I'm not kidding, that's her plan. So the evil queen gets mad and smashes the magic mirror and then turns into black glass and shatters, and Snow White becomes the new queen, and that's it, they all live happily ever after. Now, there's a lot I want to say about this movie, but first, let us begin with the positives. And as hard as it might be to believe, most of them actually concern Rachel Zegler.
No way!
Now, don't get me wrong, she might be an obnoxious arsehole in the real world, but credit where credit's due here, she actually isn't terrible as Snow White.
Yeah, she's not awful.
That's impossible!
I mean, her outfit looks like it cost like $100 off Amazon, her haircut makes Anton Chigurh like a cutting-edge trailblazer, her performance is a bit over the top and theatre kid at times, and her American accent comes and goes depending on whether or not she's in a reshoot, but I do get the impression she's at least trying to do her best with the material, and she can absolutely belt out the musical numbers, which is pretty much what you'd expect from a trained vocalist. The same cannot be said for Gal Gadot, however.
Here we go.
It genuinely pains me to say this, but I think we all need to come to the acceptance that girl cannot fucking act. It takes a special kind of charisma, presence, and dramatic range to play a good Disney villain, and well, Gal Gadot doesn't have it. Her delivery somehow manages to be wooden and scenery chewing at the same time, and when she has to deliver a big musical number, you can pinpoint the exact moment where they swap out her voice with someone who can actually sing.
Imagine there's
no penis. Oh, that's the one I'm talking about. That's the one. That's the one. But yeah, Gal Gadot, unfortunately, yes. This is the straw that broke the camel's back. That shows that how terrible of an actor she is. Right? Once you cover her up, you don't see any cleavage, you don't see any legs, you don't see anything. You're like, oh, so she's actually awful. Right? When she is Wonder Woman, you're like, oh, nice cleavage, nice legs. When she was in Fast and Furious, nice cleavage, nice legs. When she's in this one, you're like, yo, she sort of sucks.
Jonathan is yet another entry into the bumbling, forgettable, non-threatening male sidekick list of modern-day Disney heroes. There's brief moments where it seems like he might be displaying the tiniest bit of attitude and heroism, but then it's immediately squashed to reinforce the idea that men are all just a bit useless. Visually, the film's an inconsistent mess. CGI Cthulhu nightmares aside, the colour scheme ranges from bleak, washed-out grey castles and towns that look like Zack Snyder directed it, to a kind of over-the-top golden yellow piss filter for the CGI CGI woodland scenes that's so excessive it actually makes your eyes start to hurt after a while. It's funny as well because there's like one scene that was filmed on location in a real forest, and the contrast between that and the CGI fantasy version is so jarring, I actually thought the action had shifted to a whole different country. Also, you can absolutely tell this movie's been reshot to fuck. The kiss scene where Jonathan brings Snow White back to life was absolutely added in later to try to appease fans of the original. Snow White herself has clearly been toned down in places to make her less obnoxious,
and remember, chat, Dopey can talk. At the end, he goes like, let her try. And everyone's like, you're not a mute? He's like, no, I'm not. I'm not actually a dope. And he leads the charge basically to go take down the queen, which is crazy. Super wild. It's because in the original story, Grumpy was the one who does that. She was in a hijab. I don't think so.
I'd be willing to bet about 90% of the bandits' screen time has been cut. Most of them don't even get a single line of dialogue, which once again had me questioning, why the fuck are they even in this movie?
Yeah, they were
I
awful.
think the biggest problem, though, is the ending. The original movie had the dwarves battling the evil queen to save Snow White, reinforcing the idea of reciprocal kindness and redemption. But here, Snow White has to resolve everything by herself, and the result is that none of the other groups or factions have anything to do. Both the bandits,
yeah, she does
and
everything
the dwarves,
herself.
And even Jonathan just kind of
remember, the story is for these progressive type movies. You cannot have a man saving a woman. You cannot have a man giving a woman her, I would say, her powers, right? That's why She-Hulk got her powers through a car accident where the blood fell into, a gash on her hand or whatever garbage it was. In this one, she does not get, she gets saved by the bandit, Jonathan, because he's supposed to be a stand-in for the prince. Remember, there's no prince in this movie. So she is the one who basically takes down the queen herself. Nobody helps her, especially not any men. Because men bad. Her agency, thank you.
Stand around watching the whole thing play out, and I couldn't help wondering, what is the film even trying to show us here? Snow White as a character seems to be all about equity and shared responsibility.
Communism!
Privilege and greedy self-interest, but when it comes to the crunch, she ends up having to do basically everything herself, which negates the very point the movie's been trying to make for the past 2 hours. It's this fundamental inability to understand what it's even trying to say, beyond the crushingly tired princess who saves herself trope that's now become the very cliche it works so hard to overturn that proves to be the film's real undoing. In short, Snow White is a modern-day mess. A film that's basically been a disaster from start to finish, and now that it's finally out there and I've reviewed it, it's something I'm very much looking forward to tossing on the ash heap of history. Do yourself a big old favour, save yourself some time and money, and go watch the original instead.
Too late!
Weird.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
This movie is garbage. Absolute trash. I would rather grab a manila folder, lift up my wang, and you know that skin that attaches your balls to your shaft? I would use that and paper cut myself. Then watch this movie again. I would rather... Never mind, that's going to sound really gay. But anyways, that's a good video. Always another banger from the drinker. Here's the video. Check it out. There it is. Give it a like. But yeah, I hated this movie. I fell asleep almost 3 times. Not worth it. Watch the original. You know what? Watch the Sigourney Weaver version. The Sigourney Weaver version is a lot better, is extremely dark, and I remember watching it as a kid, and I was legitimately scared of that movie. I was like, man, why is it so scary? But yeah, very good Very good movie. This movie, on the other hand, can suck some donkey nipples.